Hi there, folks. My name is Novawing24, and welcome to a vlog of some description. Bit of a musings, bit of a just some thoughts from me. As you probably guessed from the title of the video, so this is my thoughts on the recent decision by Dovetail Games to withdraw their title, Dovetail Games Flight School. So, look, okay. So I guess let's start at the beginning, as it were. Okay, so let's wind the clock back. We'll wind the clock back to a year ago, just about a year ago, when it was decided. Well, when it was decided, when it was announced by Dovetail Games that they would be releasing not one but two simulators. So they would be releasing Flight School first, which was the one that we saw last year, and then we saw the release, and then we would see at a later time we would see the release of the Dovetail Games Flight Simulator. When that would be. And Austin, what are you doing? Okay, one of my ferry co-pilots. Anyway, I think he might have been at the catnip. Anyway, so we're all kind of excited and sort of interested to see what it was. And Dovetail Games Flight School came out. And it came out to, let's be honest, it came out to some fairly mixed reviews from everybody. Look, I'm not going to speak too broadly about other reviewers' opinions and things like that, but the general consensus was it fell into two groups, and I sort of fall into these as well. Is that for the established members of the flight simulation community? There was a lot of questions over. There was a lot of comments about why would we want this? Why are we paying money for this? This is rubbish. This is just FSX but in 64 bits. And a lot of very negative comments were put forward, and I would dare say that most of those people putting forward those negative comments never actually, used it. That would be my guess. Then there was the second group, which sort of went, okay, let's have a look at Flight School for what it is. What does it do? And Flight School introduces you to initially two aircraft, and then a third aircraft later on, and would step you through the basics of getting a pilot's license, the basic skills you need as an aviator, to navigate, to be able to handle in-flight emergencies, to be able to do basic traffic pattern work. The basic things that you need that are applicable whether you're flying a Piper Cub or whether you're flying an A380. It doesn't matter. These are all basic concepts of aviation. And in that way, it did quite well. It presented the lessons in a fairly logical manner. It presented them in a way that was accessible, approachable, and achievable, much like the real world is. Now, for those who may or may not have sat through my 3-hour epically long-form review of Dovetail Games Flight School, you would know that I still had a lot of issues with it. I still had a lot of problems with the way it handled free flight, especially the fact that it would do stupid things, like it always set you on the active runway, but it wasn't necessarily the active runway based on the weather conditions. It was just the runway which had the smallest number. That was it. Things like some of the aircraft handling was good overall, but it just seemed to be missing a couple of things here and there. But overall, I still saw the point of Flight School, which was to give people who may not have actually ever really had access to a flight simulator before, and especially the newer generation coming through, who have the attitude of, why would we want to buy a 10-year-old piece of software? Because don't forget, guys, FSX and Lockheed Martin's Prepared 3D, whether you like it or not, it's 10 years old. It's P3D. Don't get me wrong, I love P3D. It's done some updates. Now at least it runs in a modern environment. It will make use of a SLI graphics card, DX11. Yay! But it's still 10 years old. It was so there was a lot of this group and these younger pilots and these people coming in who were going, why would I spend money on a 10-year-old piece of software, or why would I go to somewhere like Lockheed Martin, who's like use terms and conditions. By the way, if you actually read the license, it says you can't use this for entertainment. There is no, you can't. You can't laugh, you can't smile, you can't enjoy yourself while you're using Lockheed Martin's Prepared 3D. So why would I do that? And Flight School gave these people a way to access the genre and be able to find out, is it something that you're interested, that I'm interested in? Do I want to maybe look at investing in FSX or P3D and add-on aircraft? So I saw it as a really good starting point. I think it was also a really good idea for Dovetail Games as a developer who's new to the flight simulation world, to actually use it as a technology test bed, to see what it's like. I mean, they got their feet wet, with FSX Steam Edition, but they really didn't do much more than a few tweaks here and there. They really needed to get in a bit deeper and get a bit more into the meat of a simulation creation, and this is what Flight School really offered them to do. And through the evolution of the year it was available for sale, we saw changes in it. For anyone who played it past the first sort of month that you had it, there were a lot of changes did happen. Things like the way the setup menu, the way the settings menu was done. There were quite a few graphical and texture changes and model changes throughout. So we saw it in a constant state of development. Then the updates kind of stopped. And then we had the press release in November, and I'm just going to bring it up over here. Then we had the press release in November last year, which basically went that, hey, Dovetail Games, so earlier this year we announced the development of our new flight simulator, which generated an incredible amount of excitement in the community. We would like to thank blah 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 blah. Basically saying, you're not going to get your new sim this year. Flight School's all you've got. Deal with it. Deal with that, and deal with which is fine, and in a way I think is good, because it means that Dovetail Games really has, they showed that they learnt from Flight School, and they were listening to the community to actually go, let's make sure that when we produce the product, we don't be half-assed about it. We actually produce something decent. So, thumbs up for that one. Good work, guys. Then again, it went deathly silent. Everything went silent. There was no further updates for Flight School. We still heard nothing more about the new flight simulator. And as of recording this video on the 30th of April, we still haven't heard anything new about the new flight simulator. We still don't know anything. There has been nothing officially released. There hasn't even been stuff really leaked. Which I'm kind of surprised at. I was really expecting to see stuff leaked by now. Like, let's face it, we all know, for those of us who've been around the flight simulation community for a long time, we know it's a really small community. Something was bound to get out, and it hasn't. So, what does that mean? I don't know. Make your own judgment. But as I digress. So as I said, 3 weeks ago we got the release saying that I'll read the full press release this one. So this was published on the Flight School website. It's published on the Facebook page of Flight School and on the Dovetail Games website, I believe. It was issued on there as well. So it goes, our goals with Flight School were twofold: to create an entry-level sim for people new to the hobby and to implement technical functionality to build upon in the future. We will retain the ethos of introducing beginners to the hobby, but without compromising the depth and complexity demanded by more experienced flyers, by implementing a much clearer curve to mastery in our upcoming sim. With this in mind, we have made the decision to retire Flight School. The sim and all your saved data will remain in your Steam library, however, it will no longer be available for purchase. We will have more announcements about our upcoming sim in the following weeks, as well as something special for existing Flight School owners to thank you for your continuous support and feedback. Cool. Alright, what does that tell us? Okay, I'll be honest, the first thing I thought when I read this was I thought it was a bad idea, and I still think it's a bad idea. I still think that Flight School, as acknowledged in the press release, serves a very important purpose. It still serves an important purpose to introduce new simmers into the concept of it. And I feel that that platform is needed. Now, I'm gonna, but before I continue with my thoughts here, I'm gonna again wind the clock back a little bit. We're gonna wind the clock back to June 2016, June last year. So Flight SimCon 2016. My first time at Flight SimCon, really great. And the great thing there was that we had Stephen Hood, who is the developer, the director of development for Flight School and the Flight Simulator. Was there speaking about Flight School and his plans for the Flight Sim. Now, one of the key things that came out of his speech was the fact that the idea of Flight School was the fact that, yes, it was to introduce people new to flight simulation into it, and maybe teach some of us old dogs, re-teach us some of the basics about, circuit patterns and controlling a real aeroplane, not pressing a couple of buttons and letting it fly itself. That was the primary goal, but then it was going to be built upon into the upcoming flight simulator, where that was the whole point of the license, and that was part of the development of the license progression inside of Flight School. So Flight School had 3 license types by the end. So it had your LAPLs, or light aircraft pilot's license, also known as a sports pilot's license in the US, or your recreational pilot's license in Australia. Basically anything under 600 kilos max takeoff weight. That's that license. So it's your basic introductory to flying. Then there was your private pilot's license. So you actually have commanding heavier aircraft, longer distances, start getting night ratings as well, instrument ratings as well. And then there was multi-engine command, which is it's a rating more than a license type, but it's still a progression. So you start with your basics, very basic aviation. You move into your private pilot's license, and you move into your multi-engine command. Now, what was told to us during the discussion and the speech and the talk regarding the future of Dovetail Games Flight Simulator, Flight School and Flight Simulator, was that this was going to be built on further. So you would take the lessons that you've learnt, the lessons that you've gained, and the instruction that you had in Flight School, and you would then progress further and further, get more endorsements, more license types as you move on into the Flight Simulator. And that's a really cool idea. Like, at no point, and I'd like to remind people who may never have got access to Flight School, and, well, let's face it, if you don't have access to it now, you're never going to get access to it. The fact is that this in no way ever stopped you from picking up and just jumping into an aircraft and flying, if that's what you wanted to do. There was no restriction on that, so it's not like it's a linear thing where you must complete this objective in order to be able to just do this on your own. No, there was none of that. They embraced the fact that we are a very diverse community, and many of us would want to just jump in and fly around. You can get missions, and and you can unlock certain things if you did and will just gain some skills if you actually do the license type, but you don't have to. There was no requirement to do it. There was no somebody standing over your head with a stick saying you must do this. No, there was not. We were still free to do what we want. So I really appreciated that balance, and that was something I was really looking forward to seeing in the new simulator. So this now poses the next question of, like, okay, so if Flight School's gone, what's next? Now, we are 3 weeks, a little over 3 weeks after Flight School was pulled from virtual shelves, and we still have no announcement about the new simulator. We still have none of what was talked about with the special offers for existing Flight School users. Does that mean it's going to be integrated directly into the new Flight Sim? I kind of hope that it is. At least the lessons side of it, I kind of hope that it is, because I feel it was a really good idea. I think it was a brilliant idea, and I mean, FSX had its lessons as well, and really well done by Rob MacLeod. They're really good. And if you haven't done them, go back and do them. Like, go and do them. They are really good and really useful. I liked the way that Dovetail pitched them, because they were a lot. I felt that they were even more accessible than the lessons out of FSX. They were light on detail, the light on the technical detail and the further reading. FSX was brilliant. Is brilliant for the technical reading. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of extra documentation that a lot of people don't have no idea is even in there. But if you go to the lessons, you can actually extract. There's a whole heap of like, it gives you the physics behind how things work. Like, you know, there's a lot of science behind it. It's all there inside of FSX. It's really useful, really worth having. So I was kind of disappointed that wasn't in Flight School, but at the same time, it's targeted at the newer people who are probably maybe not going to look at that just yet. So, again, this is a bit of a rambling video. As I said, the bottom line is that I think Flight School should still be available, is the bottom line. Do I think that maybe they should have made it free now that it's finished its as the press release says, is the completed its entry level thing? No, I think it stood, but maybe reduced down to $5. I still think that it is a very valuable source for new pilots to learn a lot of basic skills in an environment that's going to be a bit more familiar for them, and they're going to be a bit more confident stepping into before making the big step into FSX Steam Edition or into P3D or wherever they go with it. I think that taking that away without already having either the new simulator ready to go or having a lot more detailed information about the new simulator ready to go, I think that's probably actually more the big mistake, I think. Because, look, at the end of the day, if the content from Flight School makes its way into the new flight simulator from Dovetail, then you know what, no harm, no foul, because it's, as I said, the content's solid, is going to be worth seeing in the new flight simulator. But again, I feel that Flight School itself was a great first step for people who aren't sure about our hobby, about our passion, and thinking about maybe, do I want to get into it, do I not want to get into it? Because, to be honest, jumping straight into FSX Steam Edition is actually a pretty big jump when you think about it. And a lot of us who, you know, we're very passionate about aviation, a lot of people who maybe just who are just only starting to nurture the flames of that passion, they would very easily get put off by FSX, and not only be put off by FSX, but be put off by us. Let's be honest here. I've said this before in videos, and I'm gonna say it again. We're a bunch of self-entitled pricks. We really are. Like, there's a large, there's maybe not a large, but there is a vocal group within our various communities who basically say, if you don't have everything by Orbix, and if you don't have the PMDG entire catalog, then you are not a real simulator pilot. Get out. Don't come back until you've got all of the above. I'm sorry. Attitudes like that is how we kill our hobby, is how we kill our passion. And then in 5 years' time, those, you know, headlines about is flight simulation dead, they'll be right. They will be right. If we keep that attitude up, we're going to destroy ourselves. Plain and simple. Which is why a title like Flight School is so important. Because it gives that bridging step. It gives that slightly softer introduction to the world to go, okay, it's about more than just spending $5,000 on 4 add-ons. Like, sorry, it is. It is more about that. It is about far more than that. And yes, okay, the FSX default aircraft are very dated now. I still fly them. I still fly a couple of them. Because I enjoy them. There you go. Sorry. At the time, they were absolutely amazing. Yes, they're dated now. But you know what? I still jump in them from time to time and enjoy them for what they are. So, I guess this is, again, this video, a bit of a random, just as I said, it's about me expressing my opinion on this. I don't expect you to agree with me. I can almost feel you guys furiously typing in the comments down below to sort of, you know, go against me. But, and look, again, you're entitled to your opinion, and I get to be entitled to mine. But overall, I think that the decision to withdraw Flight School from sale without the new simulator being available, or at least a lot more information about the new the new Dovetail Flight Simulator being available, I think that's a mistake. I still think that it has a purpose, and I think making it the again it goes back to these first 2 points. If you're going to take the content from Flight School and wrap it up into the new Flight Simulator, brilliant. Okay, awesome. Then say that. Just say it. Go out there and say we're going to wrap it up. It's still going to be an entry-level path in the new Flight Simulator. Or if you don't intend on having that, and you're intending on hitting people with very high fidelity, very realistic models in the new Flight Simulator, then maybe keep this as a platform which is an entry-level platform. Lower the cost, bring it down to $5, bring it down to $3. I don't know, and maybe keep it open as a development platform, as a platform that Dovetail can experiment with and try new things with, and maybe do it that way. So there could be so you could have the standard Flight School, and then you could have a development branch which is just experimental things. I don't know. Like, as I said, I that's how I would have done it. I also don't run the company. I don't have to answer to shareholders and board members and all the rest of it. So but again, these are my opinions. This is how I would have done it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just my thoughts. I have decided though that because for whatever reason it's been decided that Flight School will no longer be available, I've decided I am going to go through, I'm going to redo all the missions, I am going to redo all the lessons, and I'm going to publish a series of that. Don't expect it within like today or tomorrow, because there's actually was a lot in it, but I will get through to it, and I will publish those up over the next few weeks, so you guys will be able to, at least those who never got a chance to get involved in Flight School, at least you will be able to have a chance and actually see what it was all about and see the lessons. And I do hope you guys learn something from those lessons. And to all of you new pilots that either got a chance to get your first virtual wings with Flight School, or for those who may have missed out, I do want to say, don't give up. Don't let those bitter old virtual aviators who say you must have these things deter you. I promise you that the vast majority of us are very warm, we're very welcoming, we're very open, and we're very willing to help. And we're not going to say to you, you must have this, because at the end of the day, we all started somewhere, and we get what's right for us. And the same is going to be true for you. So welcome to the community. To the vast majority of the community, it's great. Thank you for supporting all of these new aviators coming on board, and it's great to see you guys continuing to support them all, and keep going. And I look forward to seeing many of you at various events around the world as the years go on. To the bitter old ones who keep demanding people, you must buy PMDG and you must buy Orbix, grow up. Seriously. It is people like you who will kill our hobby and our passion. Okay? Because it works for you, that's great. I'm really happy that you found the niche in our simulation that works for you. I am so happy you found it. But what works for you doesn't work for everybody else. Okay? Grow up. Deal with it. Not everybody wants to fly tube liners. Okay? Not everybody needs to spend $5,000 on scenery they are never going to see because they're in the sky. Okay? Just stop saying to our newcomers, our new aviators, that you must have stuff. Because if history has taught us anything, that kind of attitude is what kills communities and what kills hobbies and what kills passions. Okay? So think long and hard about it before the next time you jump down some poor kid's throat saying you must go and spend $5,000 and don't come back and see me before then. Okay? Please. Anyway, alright folks, so this has been my thoughts on Dovetail Games' recent decision to withdraw Flight School and its consequences, impact, possible futures, who knows. Other than that, folks, at the time of this video, it is a few weeks before Flight Sim Con 2017, and this year I think it's going to be very interesting. So one of the panels that's coming up in Flight Sim Con 2017 is going to be it's going to feature X-Plane, Lockheed Martin, and Dovetail. All three reps together at one panel. It's gonna be good. So if there's any way for you guys to get to Flight Sim Con, come just for that panel. Seriously, you want to come just for that panel, because that panel is going to be incredible. It's going to be eye-opening, I think. Possibly going to be the most civil way I can describe it. Anyway, alright folks, thanks very much for tuning in and listening to me waffle for a little bit. Probably gone on longer than I thought, but anyway, thanks very much for sticking with it. Don't forget, as always, to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying these videos and want to see more. And of course, as always, you can catch up with me and all the things I'm up to between videos by finding me on Facebook and on Twitter, or at the Novawing24.com website, where you can see some of the stuff I've created and contributing to the community. Alright folks, thanks very much for watching. Take care, safe skies to all, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.